Hello everyone. Today we are going to explore a very mysterious and thought provoking poem, The Listeners by Walter de la Mare. This poem takes us into a silent moonlit world where a lone traveler arrives at an abandoned house and speaks into the stillness, asking, "Is there anybody there?" Through its haunting imagery and ghostly atmosphere, the poem explores themes of communication, promises, and the boundary between the living and the dead. "Is there anybody there?" said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest ferny floor. A lone traveller arrives at a strange, quiet house deep in the forest at night. He knocks on the door under the moonlight and asks if anyone is there. Meanwhile, his horse quietly bites grass from the ferny forest floor, showing the peaceful but mysterious setting. Forest ferny floor, here the repetition of F sound is an alliteration. And a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. "Is there anybody there?" he said. A bird suddenly flies from a turret or tower above, showing some movement in the still and silent setting. It shows that the house and its surroundings were extremely quiet, and even a small movement like a bird flying stands out. The traveler knocks again, louder, and repeats his question. It suggests desperation or urgency. But no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still. No one answers or appears. The traveller is confused and motionless, still hoping for someone to respond. The windowsill is overgrown with leaves, adding to the sense of abandonment. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood, listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men. The house is not really empty, it is filled with ghostly figures or phantom listeners. They don't speak but quietly listen to traveler. These spirits belong to a different world, unlike the living traveler. Stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. The ghosts are crowding silently around the staircase, lit by dim moonlight. The air vibrates with the traveller's lonely voice, but still no reply. The hall remains empty, and the ghosts are just silent observers. Air tired and shaken, here air acts like a listener. It's a personification. Here sentences flow beyond the line for smoothness. It's called enjambment. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf neath the starred and leafy sky. The traveller feels a strange presence, although no one speaks. The silence itself becomes the answer. Meanwhile, his horse continues grazing under the night sky filled with stars and tree leaves. Stillness answering his cry. Here silence becomes a reply. It's a paradox. For he suddenly smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. "Tell them I came and no one answered, that I kept my word," he said. At last the traveller knocks again, more forcefully, and speaks loudly. He tells the unseen listeners to inform someone that he came and fulfilled his promise, but no one responded. Nevertheless, terror made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house from the one man left awake. The ghosts don't make any sound or move. The traveler's words echo in the dark, silent house, making him the only living conscious being there. The listeners remain invisible and passive. He is alone, but still not truly alone. It is an irony. They heard his foot upon the stirrup and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. The listeners hear the traveller leave, his foot hitting the stirrup, the iron sound as he rides off. As he departs, silence returns like a wave flowing back. The airy quietness fills the space again. And how the silence surged softly backward. Here, silence, an abstract concept, is given the ability to surge and move backward, actions typically associated with living beings. It's a personification. So, The Listeners is a mysterious poem about a lonely traveler who arrives on horseback at a strange silent house deep in the forest during the night. He knocks on the door and asks, "Is there anybody there?" but receives no reply. Even though the house seems abandoned, a host of ghostly beings called phantom listeners are present inside. They remain silent and invisible, listening to the traveler's voice, but they do not come out or speak. The traveler becomes confused but repeats his question. Finally, he leaves a message. "Tell them I came and no one answered, that I kept my word." This line hints that he had promised someone to come and he has fulfilled his duty, even if no one is there to welcome him. After that, he rides away and the silence fills the place again.